If this turns into another summer of unrest, what are you prepared to do, sir?
About what?
If this turns, well, the protests have spread now to 16 cities across the U.S. If this turns in...
That's what you're saying. And do I believe you? I don't think so.
Well, I got that from the Fox News green room.
Trump really wants to see this go through. Support or oppose, you've got 27 at support, 53 at oppose, and 20 say they don't know at this point what they think about it.
And I hope by tomorrow there'll be a clip of Harry Enton saying what he tweeted before we came on here. This is definitely one of Trump's worst polls. Just horrible across the board. Net approval minus 16 points. Oof. Opposition to the big, beautiful bill. Just bad stuff all around. So this narrative that everything is going so well for Donald Trump is not backed up by the reality on the ground. I understand the footage. It looks bad. I'd be scared to be in the middle of it 100%. But it doesn't mean that the American people, including Latinos, who, by the way, his approval has completely plummeted with.
Trump being booed live at a performance of Les Mis. Oh, irony, you old dear. Have you no tears left to weep? How does the song go again? Do you hear the people singing the song of angry men? It is the music of a people who will not be slaves again. Well, speaking of angry men, yeah, the White House walls were ever so at risk of being lathered in ketchup after the president had a front row seat to a visual demonstration of his recent poll numbers. But then Trump's favorite propaganda network, Fox News, were also on hand to remind him of the ever so growing protests against him across the country.
It's been reported that some actors may be boycotting.
I couldn't care less, honestly. All I do is run the country well.
If this turns into another summer of unrest, what are you prepared to do, sir?
About what?
If this turns, well, the protests have spread now to 16 cities across the U.S. If this turns in...
That's what you're saying. And do I believe you? I don't think so.
Well, I got that from the Fox News green room.
Oh, that's gotta hurt! What we have is a situation in Los Angeles that was caused by gross incompetence. They didn't have the police to handle it. The police were asking us to come in. They were very late. We had to go in to save a lot of ICE officers, as you know, who were held up. They were holed up in a building, and they were being attacked. And the military went in, the National Guard went in and got them. The police weren't able, unfortunately, to move fast enough, but we move fast.
Tuxedo-clad US president had stood on a red carpet accompanied by First Lady Melania in a rare appearance for watching Les Mis, a show inspired by the June Rebellion, a 1832 insurrection against the authoritarianism of a new king, which has me wonder, did anyone even explain the plot to him beforehand?
It's worth noting, Les Mis is about a prisoner on parole who tears up his papers to try to live as a good citizen. He then gets caught up in a revolution against the government.
But Trump was then greeted with what first appeared as a steady mix of cheers and boos. But as the boos got significantly louder, out broke a USA chant. Because for those of us who like to attend the theater, USA chants are common, right? But on hand to rub salt in the wounds was Fox News The Five, Jessica Tarlov, who reminded her colleagues of just how poorly Trump is performing in the recent polls. Everything from his big, beautiful bill to the economy to, yes, immigration, the very thing that he claims he's just enforcing as we see him wreak havoc across Los Angeles.
So Gavin Newsom is speaking for a majority of Americans. Right before we came on air, there was a new Quinnipiac poll that was released. So Donald Trump, -12 on approval in general, -11 on immigration, and -16 on deportations. He has taken his best issue and decimated it by making these deportations in a hasty way. It used to be go after the criminals. That's what we heard was going to happen. Now it's go to the nail salons, go to the job sites, go to birthday parties, go to immigration courts. There is now no right way to do it. There is no way to be part of the system, pay your taxes, make a better life for your family, and hopefully get citizenship. Stephen Miller is mad because they were deporting less people on a daily basis than Joe Biden was. So he went and he said, go to 7-Eleven and you go to Home Depot. And now Americans and illegals who, yes, they're here illegally, are living in fear of what the government is trying to do. And just one more thing, the GOP caucus, like Vallejo, Gonzalez, representatives, they know that this is bad. Vallejo saying, please prioritize removal of known criminals. Gonzalez, focus on convicted criminals, not farm laborers, an important one. And I hope by tomorrow there'll be a clip of Harry Enton saying what he tweeted before we came on here. This is definitely one of Trump's worst polls. Just horrible across the board. Net approval minus 16 points. Oof. Opposition to the big, beautiful bill. Just bad stuff all around. So this narrative that everything is going so well for Donald Trump is not backed up by the reality on the ground. I understand the footage. It looks bad. I'd be scared to be in the middle of it 100%. But it doesn't mean that the American people, including Latinos, who, by the way, his approval has completely plummeted with, aren't seeing how mismanaged this immigration system is, the way that Trump and co are doing it.
And all this comes as critics, led mostly by California Governor Gavin Newsom, accused the White House of exaggerating the scope of the violence in order to justify federal deployments.
After an unusual and disturbing visit, several federal agents from the Department of Homeland Security showed up at 2 elementary schools this week, demanding to talk to students. What happened next has Superintendent Alberto Carvalho praising school workers and demanding answers.
What interest should a Homeland Security agent have in a first grader?
On Monday, multiple Homeland Security agents showed up at 2 elementary schools in Los Angeles.
They wanted access to the students to determine their well-being, based on, according to the agents, the fact that when they entered this country, they entered as unaccompanied minors. It is well known that these students are under the care of relatives.
While the Trump administration have railed against what they're deeming an insurrection. Ironic, considering they called an actual insurrection just a tourist visit. And they're all suddenly up in arms about flags being burned when they said nothing when those very flags were used as weapons against law enforcement.
Branches he can't handle. Because the other night, he came out and said that when you guys spoke, he warned you that if you didn't get things under control, he was going to bring in troops.
Stone cold liar. Stone cold liar. He made that up, like he makes up so many other things. He never said that.
And he also seemed to make up this idea that the National Guard did a great job last night when they weren't here.
They weren't even deployed, and he claimed victory. He's lost it. He hasn't lost a step. And I saw him trip on the steps today. Yeah. I mean, this is serious. He is not the same person that I dealt with just 4 years ago. And he's incapable now of even a train of thought. He's making things up, and he's putting people's lives at risk. And he's got a band of people that are complicit in this. And that's what's so damn alarming.
But as I've said in previous videos, right, America is watching close. And with each passing day that the president refuses to show his support for the First Amendment and instead calls for the arrest of a sitting governor, his support continues to tank. And this is just a demonstration of that.
I'm struck by the fact that the president has not at any point said the most important thing here is to protect the First Amendment rights of peaceful protesters. So I'm wondering, where in his hierarchy of interests does he place that? Is the First Amendment protection the most important? Is stopping violence most important? Why is he not out saying all peaceful protesters will be protected?
Yeah, let's just start off. If Gavin Newsom wanted to take on Donald Trump and loves the attention, he has 100% gotten it. Take a look here. Google searches of Gavin Newsom with Donald Trump. Get this up. 9,700% versus a week ago. More folks are Googling Gavin Newsom's name with Donald Trump than ever before in Google searches dating all the way back since 2004. Donald Trump was able to make a name for himself through The Apprentice, through all of his business ventures. He is now making a name for Gavin Newsom, who seems more than willing to relish in this fight.
What are the numbers, or how can you kind of gauge why Newsom would see if we're taking this purely political, why Newsom would see benefit in taking on Trump.
Yeah, why is it that Gavin Newsom is more than willing to take on Donald Trump? And, it's all about 2028, and it's all about where Democrats want their candidates to be. Should Democrats oppose Donald Trump more? Among Democrats, look at this. 84% of Democrats nationwide say they want Democrats to take on Donald Trump more. This is not 2017 anymore, where the majority of Democrats want to compromise with Donald Trump. No, they want a fighter with Donald Trump. And at this particular point, that is a big reason why Gavin Newsom, in my opinion, at least politically speaking, is leaning into this fight, because he is thinking ahead to the future. He's thinking ahead to 2028. And with a vast majority, look, you rarely get 84% of Democrats to agree on anything except for the dislike of Donald Trump. And that is what we see right now. They want that opposition of Donald Trump. And that is why Gavin Newsom seems to be more than willing to take him on.
The truth is more important than ever. Check out our new Truth Over Lies collection at store.MeidasTouch.com. All 100% USA union made.